Shwmai and welcome to Digital School Wales. In this video, we're going to be using j2code logo to draw regular polygons. Regular polygons are far easier to code than other types of polygons because in a regular polygon, each side and therefore angle within the shape are all equal to each other. In this video lesson, we're going to start off by coding the simplest regular polygon, an equilateral triangle, and then we'll move on to some more complicated shapes. If you enjoy this activity, why not try the Coding 1 activity pack totally for free by following the link that's at the bottom of the screen now or clicking on the link under this video. Okay then, let's go. Log into Just2easy and let's get cracking.
Log into Just2easy and on the J2 launch dashboard, you need to open up j2code. Now, j2code is this blue tile here, which I can never seem to find, so I always end up clicking on the j2code button up on the top ribbon here and save a bit of time. Right, here's the j2code dashboard, and we are going to be using logo for this activity, so click on the big logo button in the middle of the screen. So here's j2code logo. And for this activity, we're going to need the level 3 view. So level 1 is the simplest view, and we are going to jump straight over to level 3. Now, level 3 gives us all these interesting looking blocks of code on the left-hand side. Gives us this big scripting window where we can type and change our code. And of course, here's our player, which plays whatever we've coded. To play the code, we click on the play button underneath the script window. And if we want to clear anything that we've scribbled on the window, we've got a rubber here, an eraser to erase and clear the canvas. Now, whenever you're coding the turtle is the name of this arrowhead here. And you've always got to imagine that you are sitting on the back of the turtle. So if you want to turn this way, you want the turtle to turn to the right, for example. Now, I always find it easier to imagine that I'm driving a car. So to do that, let's swap that arrowhead for this lorry here. And now, when we're giving the turtle directions, you can imagine that you're sitting in there looking out of the window, and that'll help you to make sense of which way to turn. Okay then, now we are going to be drawing a triangle on this big piece of paper. So to draw, you need to put a pen on the paper. So to do that, we need to tell the turtle to put the pen down. So we've got this PD button here, and you see if you hover over it, it'll tell you pen down. Now when I click on that, it adds the PD script here to my script window. Now I could have just typed PD, but it's usually easier to click on these buttons. Now, we've put the pen down. So to create the triangle, I want my lorry to drive forward. I want the turtle to go forward. So I'm going to click on the forward 50 button here. And you can see it adds the code to the window. Now then, to test that out, that's all I need to do is click on the play button. And if we keep our eye on the lorry, there we go, it's driven forward. And because the pen is down, it scraped this black line across the page as it goes. Now, that isn't a very big triangle that we're about to make, so I'd like to change that code, and we're going to double the size. So instead of moving forward 50, let's double this number and type in 100. And let's test that out. Now, this gives us a problem. We can clear the canvas by clicking on the eraser, but you can see the lorry hasn't moved back to the start position. And that's going to get untidy pretty quickly. So let's sort that out for once and for all at the beginning of our script. So right at the beginning of our script, let's click there before we put the pen down, move it down 2 lines by pressing the enter or return button on your keyboard twice. And what we want to do is get the lorry to go home before doing anything else. So if I click home, it's going to go back to the middle of the screen. Now, there's another problem that creates, because by going home, it'll still have the pen down. So by moving back to the beginning, it's actually going to scrape a line backwards and then scrape another line. Now that's a bit untidy. So what we want to do is before the lorry or before the turtle goes home, we want the pen to come off the paper. So let's click on the pen up button. Now this is starting to make more sense. At the beginning, every time I click play, I want the pen to be lifted off the paper so it doesn't make a mark. I want the turtle, the lorry, to move back to home, which is the middle of the screen. And then once it's done that, I'm happy for it to put the pen down. So I'm going to put those 3 lines of code together and give myself some space for when I actually want to start coding this triangle. Okay, so let's press play again then. Clear that, press play. There we go. So I've driven forward 100 pixels to get to there. So the next thing the turtle needs to do is turn to the right so that it's facing this way so we can bring another line down. So to turn to the right, I'm going to go down to the next line. And the block of code you want is this, RT, right turn. Click on that, and it's added it to my code. Now the problem with this is the automatic angle is 90. Now you see, if I clear my canvas and play it, you see that lorry is not headed in the right direction to create a triangle. It needs to be an equilateral triangle, an equal-sided triangle. Now, if I drive straight there, to make a triangle, this last line is going to have to be really long. And that's not a regular polygon. So the lorry needs to turn further to the right and come down at this kind of angle. Now, we don't need to guess it. Fortunately, there's some easy maths to find out the size of the angle for regular polygons. That's all we need to do is divide 360 with however many sides there are. So for a triangle, of course, there's 3 sides. So 360 divided by 3 equals 120. 120 plus 120 plus 120 gives us 360. So let's change this 90-degree turn to a 120-degree turn. Clear the canvas and play it again. Okay, so now the lorry's facing in the right direction and we're ready for it to move forward again, turn right again, move forward again, and turn right again finally so that we're facing back up to the top of the screen as we were at the beginning of the program. So what we need to do then is this 3 times. Now then, the simplest way of doing this is to copy it. So highlight it with your mouse, Control-C, move down a line, paste, move down a line, paste. If you don't know how to paste, the keyboard shortcut is Control-V. So we've used Control-C to copy text and Control-V to paste it. Okay, so we've got forward, turn, forward, turn, forward, turn. Let's give that a go. I'll clear the canvas, click play, and there we are. We've got our triangle. But when you write code and programs, you want to try and write your code using the least amount of lines possible. Now, this is quite wasteful because I've just copied and pasted this first set of code. These first 2 lines, I've copied and pasted them. And there's a much neater way of doing this, which uses less lines, so your code is going to run faster and much better. So let's delete those and let's find a better way of doing it. Now we're going to use this block of code, this repeat block. And the repeat block needs to go before the code you want to repeat. So let's move that down to give ourselves a bit of space. And let's click on the repeat block. And there we are. It's added it to our script. Now, whatever you want to repeat needs to go inside these 2 square brackets. So there's the first open bracket and there's the close bracket. And the code you want to repeat has to go in between those. So this close bracket is in the wrong place. So let's just delete it. Let's move this up. And then after our right turn, let's add in a close bracket. And you can find your close brackets on your keyboard next to the P button. So you've got P on the keyboard, you've got an open bracket, and then next to that, a close bracket. There it is. Okay, now, how many times did we repeat that? How many times did we have that copied and pasted? It was 3 times. So as you can see, this isn't quite right. We're repeating it 4 times at the moment. So let's change that number to the number 3. So now we are going to do this 3 times. And it should give us exactly the same result, but using less code. Let's click play. And there's our triangle. Great. Okay, so next, I'm going to draw a square overlaid on the triangle. Now, I like to recycle as much as possible, especially if it's less work for me. So what I'm going to do is, instead of starting a new block of code, I'm just going to copy this whole thing, highlight it, Control-C, move down, Control-V, paste it, and I'm just going to tweak this. I'm going to change it so that instead of creating another triangle, because at the moment, if I play that, it's just going to give me 2 triangles. 1, 2. I'm going to tweak this second block of code. Oopsie, sorry for that crazy zoom. I'm going to tweak this second block of code to give me a square. Now then, how many sides does a square have? I can hear you screaming from here in Carmarthen. It's got 4 sides, so I'm going to change that back to 4. Now then, every time we copy and paste this block of code for a new polygon, you're going to need to change the number of sides, so this number, and also the size of the angle. Now, this is the exterior angle, okay? And as I said, they need to add up to 360. So, what's a square angle? We've already discussed this. 360 divided by 4 gives us a square angle of 90 degrees. So now let's try this out. Clear the canvas, click play. And there we are. We've got a triangle overlaid with a square. So my challenge to you is, how many different polygons, regular polygons, can you get your turtle to form on the page here? Now, as they get bigger, perhaps you'll need to change the length of the sides. Otherwise, you may find your polygons creeping off the side of the page. But how are you going to work out the size of the angles? Well, my suggestion is that you use a calculator on Google. So, for example, if you're going to create the next one, so we've got a triangle, we've got a square, so the next shape is going to be a 5-sided regular polygon, and the name for that polygon is a pentagon. So a pentagon has 5 sides, but here's what we don't know. What is the size of the exterior angles? So open up another tab on Google Chrome and look for a calculator. Now in here, that's all you need to do is type in 360 divided by 5, or whatever the shape you're working on at the moment is, and then click on the equals button and you'll get the answer. So I won't give you the answer for the pentagon now, you can find that out yourself. And see how many of these polygons you can form on the page. One little word of warning, there are some numbers which do not divide nicely, which do not give us very nice angles. And here's one example for you, 7. So a 7, but it is not 57. So a 7-sided polygon has an exterior angle size of that. Okay, so don't even bother. Okay, anything that's not a whole number, anything with decimal point and a load of crazy stuff afterwards, leave that polygon out. Okay, so don't bother trying to form a 7-sided polygon, because what's going to happen is that your shape's not going to join back up at the end and it's going to mess your whole design up. So skip out anything that doesn't have a whole number as the size of the exterior angle. Okay, but there aren't too many of those that'll give you a problem. Now then, what are you going to do with it once you've finished? Once you're happy and you want to share your design, show it to your teacher or hand it in or whatever, you can right-click in this window when you're done save image as, and that'll save down the image that you've created here to the downloads folder on your device. You can see it here at the bottom of your Chrome window. Once you're done, remember to save your work. Click on Save at the top of J2Code logo, and we're going to call this Regular Polygons.
And there we go. Thank you very much for following along with this lesson. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, why not have a go at the Coding 1 lesson pack? The link is at the bottom of the screen, or click on the link in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Hwyl fawr.